How's it going, folks? We are back with another edition of Kevin and Drew Talk Movies. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, so what are we getting into today? I picked Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket.
And I picked Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Which you haven't seen until now.
Yeah, until today, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, that's what we're getting into today. I'm excited, dude.
Yeah,
these are good movies.
They are.
We're going to suck the dick of these movies.
Or as they said in a Full Metal Jacket, suck the chrome off a tailpipe.
Yeah. Good stuff. What do you want to do for the snapshot? Should we do Show Me Your War Face?
Yes, that should definitely be the... You don't scare me, work on it.
Right. I love that. All right, I don't know if we got that, but you think we got it? We probably got it. It's fine.
One more try.
All right.
1, 2, 3. Ah!
That's going to be a fun thumbnail. Yeah. So, watch any other movies?
Yeah, man. So I watched a few, like, some of them were kind of like throwaway. Like I watched Black Adam again, which is very
Black Adam.
Yeah,
it's The Rock.
Yeah, it's pretty mediocre. I mean, it's like I was like tired and I just was turning on something to turn it on. I was like, okay, this'll do for something I can watch where I don't have to think about anything. It's just like sheer entertainment, like pretty much all of his movies. But this time around, I kind of noticed how mediocre it actually is. You know what I mean? Like,
Sure.
But one of the movies I wanted to talk about, I watched. It's called The Menu. It's got
I've heard of it.
yeah, it's got that, I don't remember her name, but she was in the show called Queen's Gambit. She was really, really good.
Oh, yeah. Is her name like Anya Taylor-Joy or some shit?
Something like that, yeah. She was really good, but it's got Ray Bynes in it, and he's so good in this movie. It's mostly centered around his character. It's like, it's based on, like, these people pay, like, thousands of dollars to have this like private excursion to an island where this private chef like feeds them like his menu, so it's like his baby, but it's like a satire on horror and like comedy, and so it's like very tongue-in-cheek, so it like that whole like high-end culture where it's like these people that call themselves foodies and they're very critical of like restaurants and food, like the top tier Yelpers of the world, where they think they know what they're talking about, but they're really full of shit. Like they really kind of poke fun of that whole like high class culture because it's just, like really just kind of silly. And it was a really amazing movie to watch for that. It's like, it's kind of its own thing, man. But I really enjoyed it. I recommend watching The Menu. It's fucking great.
Maybe I will.
Even if you don't like horror movies, it's more like, it's horror, but it's more like satire comedy, like in the horror genre. If you've ever seen Cabin in the Woods, it's kind of along that same line, but it's not as silly. There's way more tension. Like the movie is definitely great at building up tension and like you could like cut it with a butter knife. It was great. And then the next movie I watched that I really liked was it was a Knives Out story. It's called Glass Onion. It's on Netflix, and it's just got a great ensemble cast. Like it has Dave Bautista. It's got Edward Norton. It's got what's his name? He's the guy that was playing James Bond.
Oh, Daniel Craig.
Yeah, it has Daniel Craig in it as the lead detective. It's just got like all these big actors, and it was like, and you could tell they all had such a good time doing this movie. So the kind of the whole gist of the movie is that Edward Norton's character is an eccentric billionaire, and he always treats his friends to extravagant like vacations, and on this one he's pretending to be murdered, and then they have to solve it and have to solve who did it. And that's where it's kind of interesting, where Daniel Craig's character comes into play, because he's like this world famous private investigator. So and then like they kind of unravel like what's really going on. It was really entertaining. It was just as good as the original Knives Out movie. I really liked it.
Seen those. I'm gonna check this camera real quick. I don't know if we caught the first intro segment.
Oh, got you.
I'll cut all this out, but we'll be back in a sec.
Have to take two.
And we're back.
Back.
So yeah, Knives Out and
Glass Onion and the Menu, yeah, and Black Adam.
All right, yeah, I got a few, just a couple. I watched some crazy fucking movies. This one was called Happiness, and I talked about this on the last episode we just recorded yesterday, as of today. But yeah, it had Philip Seymour Hoffman and like, I don't know, some other people, but it's a wild movie about like it's about sex, but like not necessarily good sex. You know?
Oh, gotcha.
Like there's a pedophile in it is one of the guys,
Oh,
and then there's
Jesus.
this other guy who's fucking. Well, Philip Seymour Hoffman like calls random people and like says crazy shit to him and jerks off.
Oh yeah.
Have you heard of this movie?
I've actually, what's funny is I've listened to this band called Life Ruiner, and in one of their songs they have a clip from that movie where
Really?
Yeah, he's like you're a dirty little sot, and I'm gonna fuck you so bad you're gonna be coming out of your ears. Like,
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. That's really funny.
It's a wild movie. You should watch it, man.
I'll give it a check.
But
yeah.
I had to like. I think they kind of like this movie's kind of buried because you can't really find it anywhere. I found like a bootleg version on YouTube,
Gotcha.
which worked. I mean,
Yeah,
it didn't look great because it was like low quality, but it was still worth watching. Yeah, just a wild fucking movie. And then I watched another one by the same director, Todd Solondz or whatever. It's called Welcome to the Dollhouse, and it was pretty good. It's about like bullying and shit. And this like young girl, and I don't know. It's decent, but I'm already starting to forget what happened. You know,
Right.
It's just all tons of media going in my brain. It's hard for me to retain some shit.
Well, you watch a lot of movies too, man. Like,
Yeah. And this last one, you might have seen I posted about it. It was called The Hunt. It had that dude Mads Mikkelsen in it. And it was like a Danish film, so I had to read subtitles and shit, but it was fucking mind-blowing, this movie.
that one I'll definitely have to watch because I really like Mads Mikkelsen. Like,
Mikkelsen, is that how you say it?
Yeah, he's so good, man. Like, and everything he's in, it's just like, even like projects that he's done that aren't good, like he like steals every scene he's in. He's such a good fucking actor, man.
Yeah.
He's in a movie.
I wrote down I took it off like Wikipedia and shit, but it says it's set in a small Danish village around Christmas, and follows a man who becomes the target of mass hysteria after being wrongly accused of sexually abusing a child in his kindergarten class. So, yeah, it's a heavy fucking movie, dude. And it's shocking. It's really shocking. And the end just, like, blew my mind, too. I was like, holy fuck, dude. It's...
Have you ever watched Midsummer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I picked that movie before.
Okay, I was going to say, what you're describing, it was kind of remind me of Midsummer a little bit. Like, God, I think it was, is it kind of in the same vein as that then? Kind of like shocking and kind of like wild? Like,
yeah. I mean, sure, I guess. I mean, Midsummer is a fucking crazy movie, man.
It is. It's a good movie,
and
though.
I feel like in that movie, like, the way they depict eating mushrooms is pretty, like, accurate.
Yeah.
You know, like, the shit's kind of just moving and the way the actors were talking and shit, it was very authentic feeling.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's it. I definitely recommend that shit if you're into, like, reading subtitles and shit, but... Which I'm not a huge fan of, but I was still
it doesn't
hooked.
bother me.
I was hooked during this shit. So yeah, will you just jump right into one of these movies? What do you say?
Yeah.
What do you want to do first?
I'm down for whatever.
Full Metal?
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking too. Full Metal, yeah.
All right.
Because
this is our first time doing a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah, well, fucking dude, Arlie Remney, is that how you say his name? Arlie Remney, the guy that played the drill instructor.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, well, it was the reason he's like feels so authentic is because he was actually a Marine drill instructor, like in real life. But like,
yeah, didn't they bring him on as like a consultant and then just ended up using him?
Yeah, instead? As in the role. Yeah. And what's interesting too is in Kubrick movies, everything is precise and like almost to the letter, like of how it's written.
Right.
But Arlie,
him,
like he ad-libbed every scene he was in, and he fucking stole the show every time. And the other thing that's interesting to note, before we like really get into like dissecting the movie, is that what I read about it, I was kind of interested. It only took him 2 or 3 takes in every scene that they did to like do all his scenes, which is almost unheard of in a Kubrick film.
Yeah, he does like
hundreds of takes. Yeah, so it was that was pretty crazy because he's like very into being like precise. Yeah, and that was just kind of what a testament of like honestly like just how good at improvising.
And he's fucking hilarious. The shit he says.
And he's just so dead like that. My favorite line is show me your war face.
Yeah.
You don't scare me. Work on it.
Yeah, like, not good enough. I bet you're the kind of guy who'd fuck a man in the ass and not even have a common courtesy
to give him a reach around. Yep. It's like he makes that movie so quotable.
Yeah.
He's like, 5'9". I didn't know this stacked shit that high, son. Like, and it's just like, and I've talked to a lot of my family, like maybe not now. I don't know how the military is now, but like pre like 2003, a lot of my family members have been in the military, and I like kind of asked them, you know, if that's kind of how boot camp is, and they're like, yeah. Like the drill instructors say that kind of shit and worse. They fucking watch that movie and take notes. You know what I mean?
You got a bottle opener?
Like yeah, I do, man. Here you go.
I knew I had one somewhere, but I didn't want to dig around for it. Right on.
But yeah, it's like I will say, especially in the boot camp part of the movie, it feels very authentic. And I think Arlie is kind of the reason for that, because he just sells it so well, man.
Mm-hmm. So let me throw all this shit out there. It's 1987. This film.
Yeah, it was the year I was born. Yeah.
Stanley Kubrick.
This movie is as old as I am. That's crazy.
Budget $17 million. Box office $120 million. crushed it. 91% tomato meter, 94 audience. Pretty good. That's high rated. And I got some taglines real quick. One rifle, one gun, one for killing, one for fun.
Yep. This is my rifle. This is my gun.
Yeah.
One's for fighting, one's for fun. Yep,
yeah. In Vietnam, the wind doesn't blow, it sucks. Which I don't really understand that one.
I guess I kind of get it. It's like it sucks the life out of you. Like it's
Sure.
Yeah. I would say that it's almost like two different movies, though. You know what I mean? Because like the first half,
Yeah.
and the second half of the movie feel very different, and I think that's
I know.
It's primarily, well, it's crazy because the first time I watched this movie, and it had been a long time, but the actor, his name is Vincent something. The actor D'Onofrio that plays Gomer Pyle. I didn't realize I had seen him in so much shit. Like he was kind of for a long time that actor who he's like so good at like blending into his role.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't like realize it. And I think the first half of the movie is really carried by him and Arlie Remney's characters. Like they're, you can see like Vincent's character, Gomer Pyle. He's like, he tries to hold on to like this. You can tell he's kind of an optimistic guy. Like by like how even though he's like treated like shit, he still kind of just smiles.
Yeah, like when he's fucking yelling at him in his face and he's like smirking and shit, and he's like, "Why the fuck you think this funny and shit?"
Yeah,
that shit is wild.
Yeah,
but yeah, I did feel for Private Pyle in this movie because, and I did get a little teary eyed, man, because it's like he's trying really hard, but then again, like just always failing or just fucking up and
and in that environment, not everybody, some people, they have that right mentality where they can just be molded into a killer, you know what I mean? Like
sure.
But some people, they're not able to mentally handle that and they break. And I think this movie does a really good job of showing both sides of that, like the very real dark side of training human beings to become killers. Like, because not everybody's suited for that. Even for people that think they can, not everybody, I don't want to say is mentally inept enough for that, but some people they're just not geared towards that no matter how hard they try to be. And I think that's part of Pyle's problem is he's probably an optimistic person, and they're trying to mold him into a killer, and he can't handle that. And so when he is put in a situation like where he's fucking up and the whole platoon is having to PT all the time, so everybody's getting pissed off at him, and eventually they retaliate on him because of it. He can't handle that. Which I mean, that sucks.
That scene fucking sucks, man.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's a great scene, but Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It's hard.
He's just sitting there crying, and it's like, man, you feel for him. You suck. Like if you've
there's also another point, like all the physical training and all that shit. It is harder for a heavier person to do it than all these other skinny guys. Like it's physically harder for him to do all this shit.
Yeah. Well, and
because he's carrying all this weight and shit.
Well, not only that, but you can tell like he has certain fears, like when they're climbing stuff.
Yeah.
Like he clearly has a fear of heights. Like so, there's a lot of things that are holding him back from the platoon, and then when he finally, they get to a point where he's something that he's good at in the platoon, it doesn't matter anymore because he's already been broken. And it's kind of the sad thing is because like he's basically an expert marksman, which especially like in infantry that's kind of rare. Like most most infantry guys are not expert marksmen. They have to work to get to a passable marksmanship, which you can fact check this. I'm probably wrong. I'm just going off of memory, but I'm pretty sure what I was told by my uncle was that you have to be at least 70% accurate to pass infantry training, and that's for the Army. I don't know what it is for the Marines. It might be different. Could be wrong on that. That's just what I recollect from having conversations with my uncle about it.
Yeah.
So, being an expert marksman off the bat is something that's really rare. It's kind of unfortunate that he's kind of already become what they refer to as a Section 8 at this point because of just the harsh treatment. Because he's just, I don't want to say he's not mentally tough enough, but he just, like I said, man, some people, they are not mentally prepared for the kind of environment they're going to be put in, and it puts too much pressure.
It's not for everyone.
No, it's not. And honestly, man, it's ironic too that the people that are able to do the physical load are, young people that are 18, 19 years old, but they haven't had enough world experience to where they're mentally tough enough to where it's everything that's going to be thrown at them. Like, if I was to go through boot camp at my age, like the physical stuff, I would definitely struggle way more than my 18-year-old stuff. But all the shit that the drill instructors do to you, it wouldn't really bother me much. You know what I mean? I've already dealt with so much shit through life, so many shitty people. It would be much easier to handle as a 30-year-old than as someone that's 18 who's not used to that, because they just don't have the life experience for it. And I think that's kind of another angle to that too.
One of my notes, it's interesting how they just get right into it. You start this movie, they're shaving all the heads, and then it's right away homeboy yelling at you and shit.
Yep.
Which is fucking crazy. And it's and then you got Joker, who's always cracking little wise jokes and shit, and trying to be John Wayne and shit.
Well, and I think that's kind of a part of life is people. There are those people that no matter how bad the situation is, they always try and find the humor in it,
Or they use humor to get through tough situations and shit.
Yep, absolutely.
And he does that all throughout the war and shit, always making jokes and shit. And in the scene where fucking Private Pyle fucking kills himself, in the bathroom and shit. How evil does he look, bro? He looks evil.
Big spoiler alert. Yeah, but I mean, that's what I was talking about, man. At this point,
he's looking through his eyebrows and shit. That move.
Yeah, he's been, he's fully lost it.
At that point,
he's definitely gotten PTSD problems from going through boot camp, which that's real shit, man. That happens to people. When you're a human being and you're being transformed into a tool for war, it does something to you mentally. And we see I think what this movie does so well is it's almost like an anti-war sermon, because you see it feels very authentic in the sense that you see all the negative consequences of war, of people training for war, people going to war, what it does to you as a person, and
takes its toll on you.
And not only that, but taking that a step further is what does it do to you after you survive all those circumstances? Because the boot camp, that's shitty enough, but then you go to actual war, and that's just pure hell. And then coming back from that, I'm gonna actually skip to the very end of the movie.
Go for it.
Where Joker's I'm not afraid. He's because I'm still alive. And he's and as long as I'm still alive, I basically feel like I can handle anything. And
they're all just singing the Mickey Mouse song.
Yeah, and you kind of and that's kind of the nail in the hammer hitting nail, showing you just how fucked up war actually is, where people can sing a Mickey Mouse song after they just got done, burning down a fucking village. You see the background burning. We can jump back to it, but I mean, they fucking shot a she couldn't have been more than like a 12-year-old kid.
Oh yeah,
and we're just young. Like, no, they killed our guy. Fuck her, let her suffer. Like,
and that was here. Let me jump to that part in my notes. But it was like it was like a mercy killing that because she was like they wanted to let her just
bleed out.
Out.
Yeah, which that takes some time. Like, I mean, she could be laying there dying for hours before.
And that was like his first kill, right? For Joker.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's the first person he killed. I mean,
after that, he sort of felt part of the crew more. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like the Brotherhood or whatever. But it was like a mercy killing, just to end that shit. But it is crazy how the movie shifts from that first part to the second part. That's a wild turn. It does feel like two different movies, like you said. It's like the whole tone changes and shit. But I
mean, I think the tone of the movie is dark throughout the entire movie, but it's definitely like it's definitely different. And I think part of that too is like what I was saying before, is like the performances of Arlie Remney and Vincent. They're just so strong, man. They like really carry that scene. They like both those actors really
nailed that shit.
Yeah. And I think that's why the first part of the movie is the most memorable part. I mean, there are like little...
I agree.
There are little bits and pieces of... and like little lines that are pretty memorable like throughout the rest of the movie. But, I hadn't seen this movie in probably like 10 years, man.
Really?
And I probably... the first section of the movie, even though I'd only seen it a couple times, I probably could have quoted the first 40 minutes of the movie. And then I had a very little recollection aside from like a handful of like
me so horny.
Yeah me love you long time.
Yeah
she do boom boom long time. Like $10.
How about when the one she didn't want to fuck the black dude?
Yeah.
because it's too big or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But it ain't too goddamn big, baby. Like, yeah.
Yeah. I also like the part Joker's got Born to Kill on his helmet, but he's also wearing the peace button.
Yo.
And one of the guys asked him, "What the fuck is that all about?" and shit. And
it's the Colonel. Yeah.
And he's like, "Well, I think I was suggesting like the duality of man or something like that, Which I like that.
Yeah.
Also, the soundtrack's really great.
Yeah.
There's a lot of good songs in there.
Yeah, I was gonna say something I didn't remember, but I found it really noteworthy, was the section of the movie where "Bird is the Word" starts playing.
Yeah.
Because I always associated that with Family Guy.
Yeah.
But when I saw it in here, I thought the use of the song was so much better because it's such a lighthearted song. But when it's being used, it's literally a camera crew filming all these soldiers that are mangled and exhausted and beat up, and then they're just filming like this whole war. You can see and they're doing it in a small panel. And it's like it's fun to see the duality of like the super like happy-go-lucky song with the horror behind it.
The horrors of war.
Yeah. And where was I gonna go with that? But I kind of got that duality in this movie a lot, where he uses lighthearted music to break the tension of the movie sometimes, to where like it's not so downtrodden the whole movie, to where it's just not just a fucking bleak movie.
Mm-hmm.
But I did find that interesting, though, that the Bird is the Word is playing while they're filming. What I was going to note is that is the first time in history where they actually filmed war live, and like audiences at home like got to see
yeah.
war. Yeah, it was the first time in history where the Vietnam War was televised, and I think that's also why the American public was so disproven of it, because they got to see what war was actually like. I mean, I feel like it's impossible to understand what that's really like unless you're actually in that situation, because you're never gonna really know how truly terrible it is if you've never experienced it firsthand. But still, even seeing it secondhand, it could be, I'm sure it was fucking gut-wrenching seeing people being blown up and shit being burned.
Mm-hmm. I feel like this is probably one of the better war movies of all. In my opinion, I think it's one of the greatest ones. I haven't seen all of them, obviously, but I feel like a lot of war movies are they kind of Hollywooded up,
Yeah, they almost glorify it a little bit too much. I was gonna say that's something I really liked about this movie, is it didn't glorify it at all.
And this one just feels more real than a lot of these other ones.
I was gonna say, some of the scenes in this movie kind of remind me of the opening scene of Saving Private Ryan, where you just see how fucking terrible it is. These people,
is that where the boat opens up and
they're storming the beach, and you just see people getting ripped apart by machine guns.
Right, yeah.
There's definitely some scenes like this in this movie, when the sniper has them pinned down and she keeps mowing down guys that come through. And honestly, I think Cowboy was right when he's like, no, fuck this. We need to retreat. We need to just get out of here.
Yeah, or wait for the tank like they were trying to do.
Yeah, because it's a fucking great, it's a fucked up, but it's a great military tactic where you have one person that is dying and you basically inflict enough damage on them to where they're not dead, but you get them to cry for help, so that way it pulls in their allies, so you can pick them off one at a time. It's a really fucked up thing to do, but in war, it's kind of a brilliant strategy, especially if you're in a position like a sniper would be, to where you don't have anything that can harm you, and you have a perfect line of sight to take those shots. It's great. It's great war tactics.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy because Cowboy was in charge at that point, and then people weren't really falling in line behind him and shit. One guy's name is Animal Mother or something.
Yo.
And he was like, "Fuck this, I'm going."
Yeah, well, and I think too, it's because Crazy Earl got killed by the trap, and Cowboy was never officially promoted, so nobody really saw him. And I think that happens sometimes too.
Yeah, he just radioed in there "You're in charge now."
I think sometimes, I don't know. I'm not a soldier, so I don't want to speak for anybody. But how I saw it was, he wasn't all that well respected in the platoon anyway. And so since he was kind of made an impromptu leader without a proper promotion, nobody really respected his position, so it kind of put the team in disarray. We didn't have a true leader, and Animal Mother is this crazy good fighter where and he makes.
I know he's always got the biggest guns and the bandoliers and shit.
Yeah, he basically had. I don't know what that type of machine gun is called, but. It's kind of similar to a minigun where you just have and there's a friend of mine was a rescue trooper for the Air Force, and I believe he had a similar gun like that. He was telling me, he's like, dude, I thought it was so cool when I saw it in Full Metal Jacket. He's like, but actually carrying this shit around, he's like, fuck this, it's so heavy.
Heavy machine gun.
Yeah.
I heard that the score was done by Kubrick's daughter under a pseudonym.
No kidding.
But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah, I listened to another movie podcast, and they talked about this movie. It's called Joe and Ronan Talk Movies. That's where I got the idea for this name. But yeah, it's a good one. A couple of New York comics chatting about movies. I feel like they're better than me at doing it, obviously.
Well, they've probably been doing it longer too, though.
Yeah, and they're more public speaker types and shit. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah, what else you got about this movie?
I was just gonna say, I just kind of want to reiterate, like, I think there's like things that stand out to me in the second half, but really the first half is what grabs your attention. Like, I feel like the first half of the movie is just more engaging, despite the fact that the second half has so much more going on, like especially the explosions, and it's kind of ironic that I find the second half of the movie a little more boring, despite everything that's going on.
I know, that's the war part.
Yeah, and
why
just,
is boot camp more fun, you know?
Yeah, that's something that I found so interesting, and it's kind of going back to what I said before about the performances of Vincent and Arlie, that they really, like, they're just so strong, and they really carry that first, like, hour of the movie. You're just like, damn, like,
they're captivating.
Yeah, it's very captivating, and quite frankly, I don't feel like Joker is a strong enough character to carry the rest of the movie. He really is more like a side character. So the fact that he is like the main character through the rest of the movie, despite like his perspective, I don't think it's quite as interesting as that first section.
It did seem like they were starting to become buddies, Vincent and Joker.
Yep.
At that certain, whenever he, told him, he matched him up to help him out.
Yeah, he's a squad leader, and he's like, and you have to.
It seemed like they were starting to get fucking becoming friendly and shit, but then like he fucks up and shit, and that soap part, like he almost didn't want to hit him with the soap.
But then he hits him more than anybody else.
Yeah. Crazy shit.
But I think part of that is like he doesn't want to do it because Vincent's character he's like such a nice guy, but at the same time he's so frustrated with him because at this point he's done everything to try and help him get in line, and he just can't seem to do it.
A jelly donut. That's fucked up. He just has to stand there and eat the jelly donut while everybody's doing push-ups and shit.
Yep.
Oh, fuck. They're pissed at him.
He's like, they're working for it. You eat it, fat boy.
Yeah. I think go and wrap this one up, maybe.
Yeah.
Unless you got anything else to say.
No, man. I said my piece on it.
I did want to throw this out there. This is something me and Mike brought up back in the day, but we never held to it. But rewatchability, what would you say? I would definitely rewatch this. I don't know exactly how soon I would.
That's kind of the interesting thing about this movie is like, because I feel like that first half you could watch over and over again.
Sure.
But the second half, it doesn't carry that same weight, and I don't think it grabs you as much. I think that is kind of the craftsmanship of the first part, is that it just sucks you into the movie so much that it allows the rest of the film to be told.
Sure.
So
I still like the second half.
Yeah, I like it. I'm not saying I don't like it. I just
not quite as impactful as the first half.
Yeah. And I have a friend who watches this movie every year, and so I think it's definitely par enough to be viewed every year.
Sure.
So it's definitely rewatchable. But I guess the point I was trying to make is I think the first part of it makes it accessible enough to be rewatched in that way. Because like if you cut off the first half of the movie and just had the second half, man, like it wouldn't be as rewatchable. And I guess that's the point I was trying to make.
Wouldn't be as iconic of a movie.
Yeah.
So what do you say about rating it? Where are you at?
I give it a 7. And I give it a 7 because there are parts, even though it's more action packed, There were parts of the second half of the movie I kind of was uninterested in. You know what I mean? I found it to be a little bit boring. And that kind of changed. Like, once you get to the last 35 minutes of the movie, then I was like, oh, okay. It started to really grab my attention again. But there's kind of a lull in that middle section that I was like, this is kind of boring for a war movie.
I'm sitting at about like an 8.5 or so because I really fucking love this movie. I think it's great. I think everybody should watch it.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely worth a watch. And I'm gonna kind of piggyback up for what you were saying. I think it's so iconic because it doesn't glorify war like a lot of war movies do. It definitely purposefully shows the ugly side of it and what training a human being to be a killer and what being put in a situation where, that's actually where I kind of gravitated to Animal Mother a little bit more towards the end of the movie with some of the shit he was saying, where he was like, freedom, he's like, no, that's just a bullshit ideology. He's like, that's not why we're here. He's like, no, this is a slaughter. We're being here to slaughter these people. That's what this really is. He's like, this is an
eradication.
Yeah, exactly. And I kind of those characters where they were very open about like, yeah, we have no business being here, but we're here to do a fucking job and we're here to fucking win. He's like, and we're here to kill these people and that's what we're gonna do. And I found that to be kind of refreshing, where it's not pushing that patriotic agenda where it's like, yeah, we're America and we're the home of the free and we're spreading freedom. And it's like, nah, what we're kind of doing is fucked up and we're killing a bunch of brown people is what we're doing.
Yeah, I don't know. It's the way of the world, I guess.
Yeah.
Way she goes.
That is the take that I respected though on it, is that it's very unsaturated in a way where it's not afraid to tell how Kubrick is not afraid to tell how he sees the truth of the nature of this thing. And like I said, I very almost much consider this like an anti-war movie because of how it portrays everything in the film.
There you have it, folks.
So actually, I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna say it's 7.5.
All right.
Give it a solid 7.5. Yeah.
Cool. All right, we'll jump to the other one here in a second. I'm gonna take a quick break. Grab a couple of beers.
So some brewskis.
Brewski.
What'd you think of Robert the Brewski?
I like it.
Like it just fine. No, sorry, I drank the other one. I was gonna share it, but
You're good. Back in a sec. And we're back. Back to talk about everything, everywhere, all at once. Drew picked a movie that he hasn't seen. I like doing that sometimes too.
Yeah, man. I love doing that. I love it's like I'm on an adventure. And I will say this movie was definitely an adventure.
Is worth it? Worth the pick?
Yeah, I would say so.
2022 sci-fi adventure. Director Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert. They call them the Daniels, apparently. Did you know they also did Swiss Army Man? Have you seen that?
I love that movie, man.
It's pretty good, huh?
Yeah.
I like it, too.
I didn't know they did that movie, too. Yeah, okay. That definitely explains some of the weirdness in this movie. Then. Yeah.
This fucking movie is cleaning up at the awards shows, the Oscars, the Golden Globes, and all that shit. Cleaning up, bro. This movie is taking all the fucking shit. You got Golden Globe Award for Best Actress, Michelle Yeoh. Critics' Choice Movie Award for Best Picture. Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actor, Kwan. I don't know how to say it.
He was the kid in Indiana Jones. Yeah, the second one. Yep. This is like his first big movie since then.
Yeah.
And also, I think he was in the Goonies, too, yeah.
Screen Actors Guild Award for Outstanding Performance by a Female Actor in a Supporting Role, Jamie Lee Curtis.
She was pretty great in this movie, honestly.
And I took this from Wikipedia. The film made Oscar history with its nominations across multiple categories. Yeoh is the first Asian woman nominated in Best Actress category. Stephanie Su's nomination for Best Supporting Actress category, alongside Hong Chau's nomination for The Whale, marked its first time 2 Asian actresses were nominated in that category in the same year. Interesting. 95 tomato score. Pretty good. 88 audience. Not bad. I didn't find any taglines, but yeah. Yeah, this movie is a wild ride, bro.
Yeah, it's it gets so crazy and silly at some points. Like,
Yeah.
it really is. I think sometime I definitely need to watch it again, but I think
Rewatchability.
Yeah. It's just, there's so much in this movie that feels over the top for the story it's trying to tell.
Yeah.
Like, it's fucking, like, it gets so crazy.
It is like a family drama type thing.
Yeah, but I was gonna say what this movie really boils down to is love, like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, I'm not gonna lie, the last like 30 minutes definitely kind of put me in tears. Like, I
got a little teary.
I was like, in any movie I can do that can do that to me, I can't hate on.
Exactly. That's
like,
the type of movies I fucking seek out, you know? Ones that are gonna give me that sort of reaction. That means, like, they're really doing something. But imagine how long it would take to put this movie together, you know what I mean? Like, even the writing and then just filming, like, how do you... It must have been mind-boggling to try to fucking do this.
And it was just so interesting that at its core, it's a movie about love and it's a movie about relationships. But at the same time, it's just crazy sci-fi adventure with like all these crazy fucking basically kung fu fights. Like it very much, it's like a mixture of like drama and Chinese kung fu movies. Like, if you sprinkled in some sci-fi action,
that was
like
one of my notes too. I was like, this is an action movie I could really get on board with, you know what I mean?
Well, because
I'm not a big action movie guy,
but there's a real heart and story behind it, though. Like, you know, I'm with you. I don't really like, I can watch movies that are mindless action and it's like, it's fine. But I don't tend to watch those kind of movies again. Those are a one watch for me. Like, once I've seen it, it's just like, okay, I watched it. It, you know, there was like some fun action scenes in it, but at the end of the day, it's just another dumb action movie. But this, like, it's like a disguise as like a dumb action movie. And then you have so much heart behind it, like, and it's kind of, it took me a little by surprise, because for a while I didn't know what to make of the movie. I was just like, this is a fucking ridiculous movie. Like, for the first, like, honestly, hour and a half, I was like, this is a ridiculous movie. And then when it got to its core, about it really being about the relationships between the mother, the daughter, and the father, I was just like, wow. Okay, now I'm invested. Like, I kind of want to see how this plays out now. Like,
they must have been fucking. They must have had to been very meticulous putting this shit together, man. Like, all the details and everything.
Well, it's interesting because there's a beauty.
And they jump through like so many genres and shit of like.
Well, and it's two conflicting ideologies, because her daughter's perspective is basically nihilism, that nothing matters, and so we might as well just all submit to the void, and
the everything bagel.
The everything bagel, yeah. That kind of cracked me up a little bit, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. Like the true everything
This
bagel.
movie is very fucking funny, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
it is.
It's really fucking funny.
I like, and I did
dialogue and everything.
I did appreciate how meta that was. Like the true everything bagel. She's like, I literally put everything in the universe on it.
Yeah, I love that.
I kind of like though that what saves the main protagonist is the love of her husband, like his almost idiotic optimism, to where like it's like, why are you so optimistic? You have no business being this optimistic. But I was gonna say that is like the reverse ideology in this movie. So it's like it's almost the two sides of nihilism, like viewed in a different way, where nothing matters, so it might as well all end. But then it's like nothing matters, so everything's gonna be okay. Like that's kind of almost her husband's philosophy. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter, but it's gonna be okay. And
it's gonna be all right.
Yeah, and it's just pure like how he just wants the best for everybody.
And
don't you
love him? He's
and
he
literally tries to make the best outcome for everybody, and he like just his interaction. He's just such a warm character.
Yeah,
and I love when like, you know, how she's kind of nitpicked him and nitpicked her whole life, and she's so unhappy, and then she kind of understands what the true value of what she really is. That beautiful moment that like kind of allows her the strength to save her daughter, and I fucking love that. Like,
yeah,
it's what made the movie so good. And I was just surprised. I was like, fuck, I'm gonna have to watch this movie again.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Where did you watch it? Did you?
I just rented it off of. Well, actually, what I did was,
because I couldn't rent it, you had to like buy it on streaming services.
So I started a free Stars. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna probably watch it again on Showtime tomorrow, and then I'll just go on my Amazon account and cancel it like a dickhead.
I've done that a bunch of times.
I do that all the time with movies I want to watch that I can't rent.
Yeah. But yeah, they do jump through like a lot of different genres, and because I was watching, I rented the DVD from the Redbox, and I was watching some of the extras and shit, and it was they were explaining how they did like how the film jumps through like different. It has different color palettes throughout the film, and then like different even aspect ratios and shit like that. And I thought that was interesting. Imagine editing this movie though. That must have been fucking.
Oh, it must have been terrible, man.
I think that person won an award too, the editor.
I was gonna say, they probably had like 3 or 4 hours of film that probably got condensed down into 2 hours. Like, it was probably a crazy amount.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta bring up the hot dog fingers though, dude. I have to bring that up because I'm gonna be honest. It fucking grossed me out. Like, it was so gross to me. Especially the scene where they have, like, ketchup and mustard on them and they're, like, shoving it into each other's mouths. I was like, this is the most disgusting thing I've ever seen. Like, it's like, I thought, like pooping.
That threw Sarah off, too. That made her not want to watch the movie.
It almost did that to me, too. I was like, you know, this is worse than scenes in movies where, like, other people are pooping on other people. Like, I think for some reason I can't explain, I think this is grosser. Like,
and then, how about they did the 2001 A Space Odyssey reference where it was like the monkeys and shit.
But with the fucking sausage fingers, yeah. See, that made me laugh. That I found funny, especially when he was like on top of the other monkey slapping him with the fucking hot dog fingers. That made me laugh.
Yeah, that's great. I like how the what's his name? The husband. His name is Wayman in the movie. And I didn't know that was a real name because there's a character on Workaholics named Wayman Wamano. And that guy's actually in this movie a little bit.
No kidding.
He's like a little short, kind of fatter Asian dude.
Okay.
But I thought that was kind of funny. And then you got Jenny Slate in there. You know who that is? She was the chick picking up her dry cleaning towards the beginning.
Yes, I knew she looked familiar for a reason.
And then later on, she's like swinging her dog around and shit.
Yeah. See, that was the kind of stuff where
I'm like attracted to her, man. I think she's very pretty. Like not
Yeah.
conventionally pretty.
No, no,
but,
no.
Something about her, dude. I'm all about it.
no, yeah, no. I was like, remind me what she's done before this, because she definitely looked really familiar.
I'm not even sure, bro.
We're gonna have to look it up.
Give it a goog.
Come on, Goog, help us out.
Like I can't think off the top of my head, but I know I've seen her in shit too.
Yep, we're just gonna have to take a quick intermission from talking.
Oh, she was the voice of that Marcel the Show with Shoes On, which I watched. She did a movie with Charlie Day called I Want You Back. Oh, apparently she was in Venom. I don't.
That might be where I know her from. Maybe.
The Polka King. Yeah, I don't know most of these movies. I feel like I've seen her in a show, maybe. This Means War. Let me go back to...
Come on, Google. Don't let me down.
Don't let me down. Oh, apparently she's in Big Mouth, which I hate that show. I think it's stupid.
That's probably where I recognize her voice from then. Yeah, I think I recognize her voice from Big Mouth.
She does do stand-up comedy, too, though. Oh, Bored to Death. Have you ever seen that show?
No.
It's pretty great. Ted Danson, Zach Galifianakis, Jason Schwartzman. Good stuff. Anyways. Yeah, this movie, it's very hectic at the beginning, you know? And it was, like, I had to, like, rewind and, like, make sure I was catching everything, all the dialogue and shit, because, like, you have to read it pretty fast and shit. But, yeah, it's like...
they also jump between
trying to, like,
English and Chinese.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be ignorant. I don't know if it's Mandarin or Cantonese, so I wouldn't say of the two. I'm not sure, but it's one of the two because those are the two main dialects. But they jump between one of those Chinese dialects in English, and it's like, okay, I'm trying to catch all the dialogue, and it definitely is interesting, and I think it's definitely on purpose. To me, it seems that it is the culmination of them being born in China and Chinese residents and coming over to America. So there are instances where upon integration where, like, you know, you have to learn English to be able to communicate in our society, but at the same time, like, you don't lose the culture you were born in. So, like, you sometimes there and I've dealt with this with some of my Spanish friends where they constantly switch between Spanish and English. Like I would say my Puerto Rican friends, they do that a lot.
Spanglish.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, you're
Adam
saying
Sandler
stuff in English and in Spanish, and you're constantly fluctuating between the two, and so it almost becomes its own language because, like, you're constantly using both languages, and it's also made pretty apparent this is kind of like a failing business, and they're trying to get all their taxes together.
Yeah,
so, like,
that's what I was
they're
gonna
really
say,
stressed out.
It's all hectic at the beginning,
but they're also trying to run this business and do their taxes, but also
audit.
make dinner and, like, the audit,
cooking for the grandpa.
And then you see
the daughter and her girlfriend, the divorce papers, and they're trying to plan a party. Like, there's so much, like, away.
And I think that is kind of one of the truest things about the movie is it's just, like, you know, even, like, normal boring life can be a lot. Like, it can be very, it can be a lot.
So, yeah, basically this movie, how does it go down? It's like Wayman, they're like jumping multiverses, and Wayman jumps to their universe and tries to warn her about some shit that's going down. Like, what's her face? The daughter in the other universe or whatever.
So, how it goes...
has built this thing that they didn't know what it was. They thought it was like a black hole or something, but it was much more than that. And, oh yeah, this was a funny part. When he's like, He's like, they thought it was a black hole, but it was something more because he's like, because we can feel it. And he's like, he says, you've been feeling it too, haven't you? Your clothes never wear as well the next day, and your hair never falls in quite the same way. You know what that's from? That's a song. That's This is the story of a girl.
Yeah.
I thought that was
Who cried the river and drowned the one we had.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. That's from that song, and I thought that was fucking hilarious. But yeah, so they're jumping universes, and it's very complicated.
Well,
it's hard to explain.
So, and I think it's interesting that before all the jumping universe stuff happens, she has a fight with her daughter. Mm-hmm. And the fight is the fact that she won't stand up to her father and tell him that, hey, this is my daughter's girlfriend. Like, your granddaughter is
friends.
Yep. Because for such a long time, she's just strived for her father's approval, and she's never gotten it because of the decisions she's made, because her father doesn't approve of her husband, doesn't approve of her moving to America. Mm-hmm. Like, so, and I think, like, how I kind of saw the movie is, like, the whole sci-fi jumping universe. It was really just, like, extra layers on top of, like, what the real story was really just this daughter that was lost, who had given up, who, like, really needed her mother's love, and she just wasn't finding it, and she just felt hopeless, and what she really just needed was for her mom to just tell her that she was wanted, mm-hmm. and that everything was going to be okay, and that, even though she doesn't have it figured out, it's okay. Like, everything's going to be okay. And because, and I think that's an important message, man, because a lot of people, they don't get that. Yeah, a lot of people don't get that, man.
I think Mike really likes this movie, and like when it came out, I think some Doctor Strange movie was out at the same time, like the multiverse one.
A Madness, yeah.
He said, like, he didn't like that movie as much because this movie did multiverse way better. Or something.
No, I totally agree. Yeah. I agree. This movie, and it made it a point too to, like, show that tiny little changes could completely impact your life and send you down a different path. And mm-hmm. that was one of the things that was most interesting about the movie, like how you see her in all these different lives as different professions. One of the universes where she didn't marry her husband, instead she said no.
Yeah,
she
ended up being like a big actress.
Yeah.
And then, like, when they're talking after that shit.
Which is pretty funny because that actress is really well known for being, like, this hotshot kung fu actress. Like,
Crouching Tiger.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Well, even before that, like, in China, she had been in a ton of, like, really big hit martial arts films. Yeah.
I find her very pretty, too, man.
Yeah.
She's pretty hot.
Yeah.
Way to go, Michelle Yeoh. I thought another thing that was funny is the whenever the daughter is, like, showing her what she created, the everything bagel or whatever, and they do the vagina hand thing.
They basically scissor their hands. Yeah, that
old shit you used to do on the playground.
Yeah, I did. That wasn't lost on me. Yeah, there's a lot.
And I think they did this one too. If you're just listening, I don't know, but watch the video.
There were a lot of, like, cute little fucking kid references, like shit like that, and I, like, really appreciated all the little references they snuck into the movie. And that's why I need to go back and watch it, because I feel like I missed a lot of them.
Oh yeah. What did you think about the butt plug scene?
Dude, that made me laugh so hard. Especially when the one guy just fucking power bottomed.
He runs and jumps off the thing and just slams his ass down on the fucking butt plug.
I was going to say, there are definitely scenes in this movie that are so anime inspired, and that is definitely one of them, because that is like some shit straight out of some like anime humor,
Yeah.
where like a character just does something so ridiculous and it's so funny.
Yeah, so basically, what are they trying to like jump universes to get like different skills sets?
Yes.
And they have to do the most random things to get to that universe, which is weird. Like,
Yeah, well,
at one point he has to like slice all of his, he has to paper cut all of his fingers and shit, or he eats the chapstick and then like starts fucking them up with the fanny pack.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, so it's I guess the point was for that is the most odd and random choices that you would never choose yourself are what lead down to other paths, and that's
Right.
kind of why they're forced to do. Because no sane person would fucking wrestler leg drop a fucking butt plug like, but in order to tap into like another self, you have to make decisions that you would never consciously do in order to jump to a version of yourself.
Right.
Yeah.
And there was also that point where she was, the daughter was beating someone up with dildos and shit. That was funny.
Yeah. The part that made me laugh harder though, like the butt plug definitely made me laugh. But when the other dude showed up and he had like half a trophy sticking out of his ass, I laughed so hard I had tears in my eyes.
Yeah, and she had to like rip them out of both of their asses.
Yeah, dude, that scene was so ridiculous. That was at the point of the movie where I no longer was like confused, and I was just like, what is going on? I was like, I'm not sure if that was the point. I was like, okay, I like this movie because it wasn't, it was self-aware enough to not take itself seriously enough to where it could have those moments to where it was being like almost a little bit meta and just really having fun with the situation of everything.
Mm-hmm. Now, what did you think about Rakakuni?
That cracked me up too. I love that they were kind of low-key shitting on like a famous Disney movie. Like they were just like, yeah, this is a really stupid concept.
I've never seen Ratatouille.
I actually like that movie.
People like it.
But I also respected that they're like, yeah, this is fucking dumb and this would never work. So we're going to do it with a raccoon instead. That's why I do love, and it didn't dawn on me until later in the movie when she was talking about Ratatouille. They were just like, you mean Ratatouille? She's like, no, Ratatouille. And then when you see it like in the actual movie and you're like, oh my God, they actually did it. This is hilarious.
Oh yeah, and the part where they're just rocks, I thought that part was very interesting and very poignant. Evelyn is saying how she feels so stupid and shit, and like she's yeah, of course we're stupid, we're humans, that's our thing.
Yeah, I appreciated the introspection, and I also I think what was done so well about it is that it's like the break from all the craziness and all the action where it
gives you a second to breathe.
It gives you brevity for the exposition. So, you kind of, I think that's the first time where they really start to get at the heart of what the movie is about, where it's really about a mother and a daughter trying to understand one another and come to like terms with their relationship.
And because like she shows her what she's seeing, the daughter shows the mother what she like, her whole perspective and shit basically. And she was hoping that her mother saw something different, so something that wasn't just pure nihilism, and I thought that was all fucking well done. It's all meaningful and shit. Because the daughter wants to like give up on life. Basically,
yeah, she basically just wants to fall into the void and erase herself from the universe. Which I mean, it's a very, very relatable feeling to tell. Like, I mean, so many people feel that despondence.
And then, Evelyn learns the meaning of love and shit, basically. Like you were saying, this movie's about love and shit. And there, some of the things
Well, it's not only about love, but it's also about, accepting what you have. And it was like her revelation of where, like, instead of nitpicking all the things she doesn't have or all the things she could have done, like, it was about her embracing the things she does have, embracing the love she has, embracing the, despite all her husband's flaws, embracing, like, all his qualities, and his best qualities is, like, he goes through life with optimism. He fights the fucking darkness of the world with a kind and beautiful heart. And I was like, well, fuck, man, how can you not like this movie?
And it is also very interesting how at the end, basically, Evelyn just wants to stay in that timeline, even though it wasn't going super great and everything. She could jump to any timeline or whatever and be,
and have a great life.
Exactly.
But she chooses her family. She chooses...
Right.
And it's just like, fuck, man. I was like... She chooses love over everything.
Exactly.
It's like, man, how can you argue with that?
And some of the extras I watched, they were saying, like, it's kind of chaos itself is the villain of the movie, not necessarily the daughter or Jobu Topaki, whatever.
Jobu Topaki, yeah.
Yeah. And I thought that was cool. And one of the directors makes cameo in the movie. He's like the guy who wants to be ball gagged and spanked and shit.
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of those type of people, man.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's a little more common than you think, and it's usually from the people you don't expect it from.
One of the directors said something about, like, this movie is about empathy, and Deirdre is the hardest one to feel empathy for, which we haven't even mentioned, dude. Jamie Lee Curtis's character.
Oh, yeah. Well, and that's kind of... I think that beautiful moment between her and Evelyn, where they're sitting down and they're talking about their divorces. That's where you kind of really feel for her character. And like, that's when I was just like, damn, this movie has literally made the most hateable character likable. Like,
yeah.
And it's just because you, and I think, what this movie does so well is it kind of raises questions and then it answers them. It's just like, well, how do we understand people, especially people we deem unforgivable? It's like, it's through communication. Like, we have to talk to one another. We have to learn from one another. That's kind of the only way we can find common ground. And that's kind of what happens with Evelyn and Jamie Lee Curtis's character is they talk about their divorces and her
and in one of the universes, they are a couple.
Yep.
Which is
the hot dog thing. It's so gross. I was just like, I accept it, but I don't have to like it.
Yeah. But yeah. Did I cut you off? Were you gonna say
No, you're good, man. You're good. I was just gonna say that them talking about their reaction to their divorces is kind of
beer.
What kind of shows them common ground, and what ultimately gets them more time to do their taxes. But also, I kind of like, because she straight has fucking weed in that vape pen. Like, it's like they don't come out and say it, but you know what it is. Because she takes a big puff and she starts coughing. She's like, yeah, there it is. And it's like, yeah, another old lady that smokes weed. I was like, I'm here for it.
Yeah. Yeah. I did tear up a couple of parts in this movie. Because it is beautiful. It's a beautiful movie. I absolutely love it. I think we're about at that time, though. What do you say?
Yeah, man.
Rewatchability, 100%.
Definitely. There's so much going on in this movie. I mean, I feel like
I can't get it all in one.
Yeah, I feel I'm probably gonna rewatch it tomorrow just to like
really
rehash things that I feel like I missed.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, it's a wild ride,
It
definitely.
definitely is. It literally has everything. What do you rate it? Out of 10?
You know, my rating might be higher, but as of now,
For the first
just
watch?
for the first watch, I give it about a 7.5 or 8, because I love what it's trying to convey, and I like that it's doing it in an original way. But for the first part of the movie, some of that feels a little lost and muddled because there's so much going on, and we don't really get to it until towards the latter half of the movie. Now, I might feel different upon rewatching it,
yeah.
but I would say like 7.58 for this movie.
I'm about a 8.5 again, you know, same as my last ranking. I fucking love it. I could probably go higher, honestly, but we'll settle for 8.5, man. I fucking love it, man. It's a good movie.
Yeah.
I'm glad you picked it.
Yeah, me too, man. It was just it's such a different movie. I like when you get to watch movies where it's hard to quantify what they are. Like,
Yeah.
you waking off the stink?
I'm just trying to cool off the camera because
Okay.
it's pretty warm, and I want to turn it back on before we end this.
Got you. I thought you farted for a second.
It's gonna explode. No, you'd know if I farted. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, that was the other thing where I thought it was funny, where Evelyn thought she had mastered like all the powers, and then she's kind of getting arrogant with the villain, and then she just starts throwing up everywhere.
All at once.
Yep. The everything all at once definitely. It was right there.
It's a fitting name for the movie, right?
It really is.
So, there's only one thing left to do. Pick a couple of more movies. What do you think? Are you going to pick the one that you almost picked last time? Or something else? Or you want
Are
me
you
to...
talking about Risk Hunters: A Love Story? Yes, I'm picking that movie. Yeah, I picked Risk Hunters: A Love Story because I haven't seen it in a long time. I know you haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And
you almost wanted to change movies, dude. I was like, if you really wanted to, I would have done it. But I was like, you already picked this movie.
Well, you know what? I'm glad I didn't, because this movie is definitely worth a watch. Like, if you haven't seen it, guys, like, you definitely should watch it.
Yeah.
But I'm picking another one that's like a little indie gem. You should fucking watch this movie. It's called Risk Hunters: A Love Story. And you know what? I think you're gonna like it, Kevin. It's
the guy from Almost Famous.
Yeah, he's in it. It's another like indie movie. And it's just the premise of the movie is basically what it's about all these people that committed suicide, and they're like all kind of in purgatory together, and it's like their own little world. But then the main character finds a girl, and she is adamant that she is in purgatory by mistake because she didn't kill herself. And so that's kind of like they all kind of go on this weird journey in the purgatory together.
Interesting.
And it's a fucking good movie, man. Like,
yeah.
I can't wait to watch it again. I might watch it tomorrow, honestly, because I have the day off.
Hell yeah. I'm going with one of the most classic movies ever. When you hear classic movie, what do you think of? Think really old, like late 30s. You know where I'm going with this? Judy Garland. The Wizard of Oz, man. I'm picking The Wizard of Oz.
Okay.
When's the last time you watched that?
Dude, it's been a fucking hot minute.
Me
that's
too.
For sure.
It's been fucking probably 15 years or so, maybe around there.
I'm gonna say right now, thanks, shout out to Amy Kaiser. Thanks for that free Disney Plus subscription for me, because that's how I'm gonna watch this.
Is it on Disney? I think it's on HBO.
Hey, however I got to do it, I'll get it. If it's on HBO, shout out to Tom Thong Pie. Thanks for letting me use your HBO account.
I wonder if your movie is streaming anywhere. I'm gonna look that up real quick.
It's probably on Prime. You probably got to rent it.
Yeah.
Like I said, it is a little indie jam.
Oh, it says it's on Vudu for free.
No shit.
Apparently.
Well, I'm gonna have to sign on to your Voodoo then.
Yeah. Anytime,
Thanks, Kevin.
bro. Anytime.
Thanks, Kevin of the Hill.
Yeah. I know. I do like that when I rent a movie, I can just tell you and you can fucking, and we can get 2 watches out of it instead of, just one from me. There you have it, folks. Wrist Cutters, A Love Story, and The Wizard of Oz next time.
Gonna be a real funny duality.
Right. Sometimes the movies don't match up, but sometimes they do. Cool. I think this was a good ep.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, Drew,
of course,
to record with me.
Of course, man.
And we'll see you next time.
Losers.
Peace out.
Nah, I'm kidding, guys.
No more Google eyes.
No more Google eyes.
I bet you're the kind of guy who'd fuck a man in the ass and not even have a common courtesy
To give him a reach around. Yep.